Have you ever ended a relationship not because you didn't love the person but because getting truly close to them terrified you? Or have you ever felt completely alone while someone who loves you is sitting right next to you? Those aren't random feelings. Those aren't personality quirks. Those are patterns. And they were written into you long before you were old enough to know what a relationship even was. That's what we're getting into today. Here's something that might catch you off guard. Most people assume they're pretty healthy when it comes to relationships. Secure. Self-aware. Fine. Research says only about 50% of people actually have secure attachment. That means roughly half of us are walking around with a relationship blueprint that's quietly working against us and we don't even know it. So what about the other 50%? There are 4 attachment styles. By the end, you're going to know exactly which one you are. And more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Hey, welcome, or welcome back. Really glad you're here for this one. Let's get into it. Who is John Bowlby? In the 1940s and 50s, a British psychiatrist named John Bowlby was working with some of the most troubled kids he'd ever seen. Children who'd been separated from their parents. Kids raised in orphanages. Teenagers who'd ended up in the justice system. And he kept seeing the same thing. These weren't just sad kids. Something was fundamentally broken in the way they connected with people. Some of them would attach to any adult who gave them 5 seconds of attention desperately, almost frantically. Others had completely shut down. Walls up. Nobody gets in. Bowlby started asking the question nobody else was really asking at the time: why? What is actually happening underneath all of this? His answer: we are wired biologically, from birth to bond with a caregiver. Not because it's nice to have. Because it's survival. A baby that stays close to a safe adult lives. A baby that doesn't. That instinct is ancient and it runs deep. But here's what Bowlby said that changed everything. He said the quality of that early bond, whether your caregiver was warm, consistent, available, that doesn't just affect your childhood. It shapes how your brain develops. It shapes your answers to 3 questions that you carry with you for the rest of your life. Am I lovable? Are other people reliable? Is closeness safe? Your brain answered those questions before you could talk. It built what Bowlby called an internal working model, a mental map, formed in your first few years, that tells you how relationships work. That map travels with you. Into every friendship, every romance, every time you trust someone or decide not to. Mary Ainsworth and the strange situation. Bowlby gave us the theory. But a researcher named Mary Ainsworth gave us the proof and the map. In the 1970s, Ainsworth designed one of the most famous experiments in psychology. She called it the strange situation. The setup was deliberately simple: a mother and her toddler in a room. Then the mother briefly leaves. Then she comes back. Ainsworth watched what happened. Not just whether the kid cried, but how they cried. How they responded when the parent came back. Whether they sought comfort or avoided it. Whether they could settle or couldn't. And here's the part that actually surprised people: the patterns she observed in those toddlers didn't stay in childhood. Decades later, researchers tracked those same kids into adulthood and the patterns were still there. Different behaviors, same blueprint. They didn't just describe children. They described all of us. The 4 attachment styles. Secure attachment. Secure attachment forms when a caregiver is consistently responsive. Not perfect. Just reliably there. Comfort when the kid is scared. Encouragement when they want to explore. A safe home base to come back to. Securely attached adults generally feel comfortable with closeness. They can depend on people without losing themselves. They communicate their needs. They handle conflict without falling apart, and they repair well after one. Relationships feel mostly natural, not like a minefield. If that genuinely sounds like you, that's real, and it matters. But if it doesn't, you're in very good company. About half the world is right there with you. Let's keep going. Anxious attachment. Anxious attachment develops when the caregiver was inconsistent. Sometimes present, sometimes checked out. Sometimes warm, sometimes emotionally unavailable. The child could never quite figure out, is my person going to show up for me today or not? So they adapted the only way they could. They turned up the volume. Cry louder. Cling harder. Because when attention came, you had to grab it, and when it was gone, the fear that it might not come back was overwhelming. As adults, that pattern doesn't disappear. It just gets more sophisticated. Anxiously attached people often carry a deep, quiet fear of abandonment. They can become intensely preoccupied with their relationships, overthinking every text, replaying a conversation, trying to figure out if something shifted, needing reassurance, and then feeling guilty for needing it. Here's what it looks like in real life. You and your partner had a totally normal disagreement 2 days ago. You've talked since, laughed since, things seem fine. And yet there's this low hum in your chest that something is wrong, that they're pulling away, that it's only a matter of time before they leave. And you don't know how to turn it off. That's not neediness. That's a nervous system that learned, a long time ago, that love is unpredictable. Avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment forms when the caregiver was consistently emotionally unavailable. Not always cruel. Not always absent. But just not attuned. Emotions weren't talked about. Vulnerability wasn't met well. The message the child received, spoken or not, was, handle it yourself. So the brain adapts. It concludes, needing people leads to disappointment. I'll stop needing them. And it does. Impressively well. As adults, avoidantly attached people often value independence almost as an identity. They're frequently capable, self-sufficient, competent. Getting close to someone can feel genuinely uncomfortable, not because they don't want connection, but because intimacy quietly triggers something that says danger. Here's what it looks like. You've been with someone for 6 months. They love you, they show up, they want to know you. And they keep saying they feel like they can't quite reach you, like there's always a layer they can't get through. And you don't know what they're talking about, because from where you're standing, you're right there. You're not hiding. You just don't know how to open the door. It's not cruelty. It's not coldness. It's a very old protection system doing exactly what it was built to do. Disorganized attachment. Disorganized attachment, sometimes called fearful avoidant, is the most complex of the four. It typically develops when the caregiver was both the source of comfort and the source of fear. A parent who could be loving and also frightening. Households where there was abuse, severe neglect, or a caregiver carrying serious unresolved trauma of their own. The child is caught in an impossible position. Every instinct says, run to your caregiver when you're scared. But experience says, your caregiver is the thing you're scared of. There's no strategy that resolves that. So the attachment system becomes disorganized. Neither fully open nor fully closed. Caught in between. As adults, this often shows up as desperately wanting closeness and being terrified of it at the exact same time. Pushing people away and then panicking when they actually go. Relationships that feel intense, confusing, sometimes even chaotic, and not fully understanding why. If this one is yours, I want you to hear this. This was not your fault. You were a child in a situation that was genuinely overwhelming. You did the only thing any child can do. You adapted. You survived. And that took strength even if it has never felt that way. Can you change your attachment style? Now here's what I need you to know. Your attachment style is not a diagnosis. It is not a label. It is not who you are. It's a pattern. A pattern that formed to help you survive your early environment. And it made sense then. It genuinely did. But you are not 4 years old anymore. Your brain, and this is actual neuroscience, has something called neuroplasticity. The ability to build new pathways, new patterns, new responses. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen passively. But it absolutely happens. Therapy helps. Specifically, approaches like EMDR, somatic work, and attachment-focused therapy are designed to do exactly this: not erase the past, but stop letting it run the present. Those are two very different things. And the second one is possible. Not erase the past, but stop letting it run the present. And sometimes it's not even formal therapy. Sometimes it's one relationship, one friendship, one partner who shows up consistently enough, over enough time, that your nervous system slowly learns, maybe for the very first time, oh, this is what safe feels like. That's not a small thing. That's everything. Okay, I have to ask. Which one resonated with you? You can keep it simple, just type secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized in the comments. Or describe it in your own words. Because there is something powerful about naming a thing you've felt for a long time but never had language for. That act alone matters. And I genuinely read these. You're not alone in it. I promise you that. Here's what I want to leave you with. Understanding your attachment style isn't about blame. Not toward your parents, and definitely not toward yourself. It's about clarity. Because you cannot change what you don't understand. And now you understand. Survival mode was never meant to be permanent. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are not beyond repair. You've got this. If this hit home for you, if it gave you a word for something you've been carrying, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content find the people who need it. And subscribe if you want to keep going. We go deep on psychology and self-understanding here, and we always keep it human. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.